the calendar and just welcome everybody to the pre-summit session 2. This is TCI and your learning management system. Just to make sure that you're in the right place, this is going to focus on TCI integration to Canvas. We do integrations with Schoology and Google Classroom too. So I just want to make sure, just get that out there right now so that people are in the right spot. And thank you for those of you who are using the chat to share what district and grade you guys are from. We'll use the chat for just kind of that kind of stuff. We'll be maybe sharing some documents with you. We do have the Q&A session as well. So just remind you of some housekeeping things. The Q&A will be more for like questions that you have, because we do have mods that will be looking at that and interacting with you live while I'm talking. So I'm gonna try to you guys.
If I can interrupt, Q&A is actually not working in the sessions today, so we're going to ask you to put all of your questions into chat.
Okay.
Just like you were putting your locations. Just if you would, make sure you click everyone for that as well, even the questions, because likely your question is one that 10 other people have.
Yeah, there's a little drop down everywhere where you can put everyone or just do an specific host or panelist. So make sure you do hit everyone. Thanks, Dawn. I didn't realize that about the chat. The chat worked in my last session, or the Q&A did. So thanks for the heads up on that. So don't worry about the Q&A. We'll just use chat. And then I do have closed captioning turned on. So if you need that, you need to go to the closed captioning area and enable the live transcript, and you'll be able to get that. And I'm really impressed about how well that works. I'm a little disappointed how well it works compared to speech to text on my phone, which never seems to work right? So maybe Apple can learn from Zoom on some of that speech to text. All right, so I have a poll question for you guys to start out. So we're going to use Mentimeter again in this session. So what I would like you to do is make sure that I got that on. Take out your phone, take out your cell phone, and open up your camera and take a picture of that QR code that I have up there. And what I'm going to ask you is, I'm going to give you guys a chance to get your phones out. And I'm going to tell you what the question is, the little poll question I'm going to share with you guys. Okay. And I'll come back to the QR code in just a second, but here we go. Which of the following best describes your use with Canvas? My district has Canvas, but I don't really use it too much. I use Canvas mainly to communicate with my students about important updates they need to know. Number 3, my students do all of their assignments right from Canvas, including tests and quizzes. And then finally, I use Canvas for everything, including my grade book. So for those of you who didn't get a chance to get that QR code, there it is again. Take out your phone, open up the camera, scan that QR code, open up the website, and there's a poll in there that you will be able to do. And I'm really curious to see what my audience is here today. Let's see what our attendance is looking like here. We have, oh wow, we got a big group of teachers in here today, so that's fantastic. And let's see where you guys are at. So half of you really use Canvas quite a bit. And then there's only about 20% or so of you guys that are just really using it. You have access to it. So maybe today, for those of you who are in the blue column, maybe this will inspire you today to try to bring in some of the Canvas features a little more with your students. So I'm excited about this. This has been something we've been working on, really excited to roll out. I know that teachers all over the country are going to be really pumped for what we've done with Canvas this year. So thank you for that participation. That gives us a really good guide of kind of what our audience is here today. What we'll be covering today, we're going to look at a case study. Like, why use Canvas with TCI? Like, what's the point? It's just easier not to. Well, you're going to find out. We're going to look at a case study and kind of lay it all out there for why you would want to do this. But then once you get fired up about that, you're gonna be like, well, how do I do this, Matt? How do you link TCI and Canvas to your accountant course? We're going to show you that. And then specifically, some of the really cool tricks in there is syncing your assignments that you assign with TCI, your assessments, and even making it so that your grades talk to Canvas. So we'll talk about that as well. All right. So here's our case study. Let's take a look at this for a minute. Okay. Let's say that you're a teacher. I'm just going to pretend for a minute. I was a high school teacher in my last session, so I'm going to be a middle school teacher in this session. Let's say that you are teaching, I don't know, U.S. American history, 8th grade, doesn't really matter what grade, and you're going to look at this lesson on the era of reform. We're going to be talking about to what extent did the reform movements of the mid-1800s improve the lives for Americans? We talk about the reform movements, the abolitionists. We're talking about women's rights and Declaration of Sentiments. We talk about, Horace Mann and education reform, Dorothea Dix and mental health and prison reform. And we will step into a classroom here. And we're going to see what's going on behind the scenes. And if you didn't get the chance to do the Menti, it's okay. It was just a quick little poll for me to kind of gauge my audience. So don't worry about it. We're going to go into this classroom Monday night, and a teacher is going to be in there planning to teach that lesson on education reform and what that teacher might go through as they plan this. So you're going to want, as you're in there in that classroom and you're planning, you're going to want your students to read this informational text on prison reform, Dorothea Dix. And when they're done reading that prison reform information, they are going to have to respond to a sensory figure. So it's a sophisticated graphic organizer to kind of chunk and classify information around that topic. May even move on to reading about the women's rights movement, equal rights, and maybe you even want to have them do the notes for that as well, but online. So the reason I have it set up this way is to show two different ways, because you know that we have handouts and we have print resources, but we also have digital resources on our platform, and you're doing basically the same thing. So you're kind of almost looking at the same assignment here. One is digital and one is paper pencil. Okay, so you need your students to do that, and they are going to then have enough background information to participate in this classroom activity we call a response group. Students are going to work in groups of 3. They're going to be analyzing real excerpts from the actual Declaration of Sentiments, which comes from the Seneca Falls Convention, where reformers modeled their grievances for equal rights and equal treatment after the Declaration of Independence. So if you think about the Declaration of Independence, you know that they listed out the grievances of all the things the king did, right? They didn't like. And that is what the Declaration of Sentiments is modeled. There's these grievances that they have. Students are going to be working in these groups of 3, and they're going to be looking at those excerpts, and they're going to be deciding based on reformers and changes that happened in the mid-1800s up until today, changes that come all the way up today, to how well some of those grievances have been redressed over time. So they're going to get a handout. So you're planning, you're getting this handout, and there's an excerpt. There's excerpt 1. So it says, he has never permitted her to exercise her inalienable right to elective franchise. He has compelled her to submit to laws in the formation of which she had no voice. So the first thing the students are going to have to do is they got to rewrite that excerpt in the language they can understand. Like, what in the heck is he talking about? Well, so he has never permitted her to exercise her inalienable right of elective franchise. He hasn't allowed her to vote. She doesn't have a say in the government. She doesn't have a say in the laws. And he's compelled her to follow laws which she didn't even have a voice in making. So that would be how I would kind of rewrite that. And then what students will do is they will use another handout plus background information that they got to see how well that grievance has been redressed today. And then they will put on a spectrum of how somewhat redressed or not redressed at all. And then we'll have a class debate. So as you're planning on that Monday night, you're getting all those resources together, you're kind of looking and you're like, there's a lot going on. I got student text, I got my handouts, I got my notes, but I want to assign all this stuff to them, and I want to share my lesson slides. And then there's assessment that goes with it. I got a lesson game I can assess, and I really want to get the grades. And the issue with all of this stuff kind of floating around is that my district uses Canvas. And we are told that everything has to be in Canvas. TCI's got this wonderful layout, great platform that you just spent the morning learning about. But my district says we have to do everything in Canvas. So how can I use Canvas if everything's already over in TCI? Well, we got you covered, because everything that you see here, the text, the content, the information, the handouts, the assessments, your assignments, your grades, all of that will sync and talk to Canvas, and I'm going to show you how that works right now. So we're going to go live, and I'm going to start by going in here, and I'm going to go into first. I'm going to just go into my TCI account really quickly, and I want to sign in as a student. I want to make sure that I get signed in as a student to start, because it will be easier to show you what I'm going to do from a student perspective. So I'm just going to kind of go over there, and I'm going to go back over here to my Canvas classroom. And you can see this should look familiar if you use Canvas. Kind of, there's lots of different things you can do in here. And you can see that I have some TCI assignments in here. They've been published. And they're kind of in order. There's my lesson preview. So the preview is what the students need to do at the beginning of every lesson. And then there is the notes. So I might have them like read section 1 and do the notes, and maybe I want to get them ready for the activity and then do the lesson game. So how does this work? So I'm say the student is here and they click on this link in Canvas and they see that I have given them an assignment, and I'm going to click on that assignment and it's going to automatically open up to that page. Now you'll notice that it opened up in another window. We'll talk about this in a second because there's another way you can do it, so it doesn't have to open up another window. But here is my Canvas where I just clicked on that link, and when I clicked on that link, it just automatically took me right there as a student. So I can read my section that the teacher wants me to read, and then there's a preview assignment. Now in this preview assignment, the students are going to listen to some music. They're going to listen to a song called Let Us Speak Our Minds. You can see the lyrics right there. The teacher would probably be live in the classroom projecting one of those slideshows that you learned about this morning. And it's going to have the music embedded, and you can play the music really loud for your students to hear. And then what they can do is they're supposed to respond in their digital interactive notebook to what the questions are about. Like, so the first question about that song is, how would you describe the mood created by the lyrics? So they're going to hear that piece of music in class and they're going to describe the mood. Now, for students that are maybe at home or not in class, we built the music in here and gave them the lyrics, so we can just listen to a piece of this right here. There. This play a little bit of music for a second for you.
Men tell us to spit, that wives should submit to their husbands submissively, meekly. Though whatever they say, their wives should obey, unquestioning, stupidly, weakly. Our husbands would make us their own dictum take, without ever a wherefore or why for it. But I don't and I can't, and I won't and I shan't. No, I will speak my mind if I die for it.
So I'm gonna pause that right now, and I am gonna put in here, because I'm the student doing this, I'm gonna say, it's old time music, piano, just that kind of stuff. Put it automatically saved. Says, what do you think the women would, why would they write a song like this? Well, maybe they, having some typo issues here. Maybe they are upset about their rights. Okay. To what extent do you think the complaints mentioned are still valid today? And I'm going to say that there's some valid points still. Some valid points still. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that in. Great. I turned that in. Now, is that the only thing I had to do in this lesson? No, I needed to go. I did that one, but I saw that there was another. I had to do my lesson 20, section 1 note. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. For those of you who are saying, this is cool, Matt, but how did you do it? Patience. I'm going to show you how I did it in just a second, but I'm trying to build the case to show you how cool it is when it works together. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So now we're supposed to read section 1. We're going to read about the spirit of reform here. I can do my tutorial, my check for understanding here. And then I have some more questions, and I'm just going to really quickly, just to keep things moving along, I'm just going to type some gibberish in here, and I'm going to turn that in. Okay. And now it is time for me to do my actual activity in class. And so when I click on this one, this is the actual activity. I have a note from my teacher here. It says, we will do this activity in class. As you move through, complete the notes for sections 2 through 5, and then you're going to need these handouts. So, wow, handouts. So I'm going to pull up my handout. So I'm going to grab that. And it allows me to get that handout that normally would have been given in class. So there's the excerpt that I was telling you about. So that handout is right there. I can go back. I can get the other handout that I need. So there's my other handout. And this is the fact sheet. So for example, just a couple things that are on this fact sheet. Women have the right to vote in every state today. So to some regard, I would say that that first grievance would be probably addressed there. But look at this one. Like in 2021, 9 of our 50 governors were women, right? So we don't totally have equal representation. We look at it from that angle. All right. So the handouts are right there. I got those really easily. And now I want to go into the actual part that I need to go into. And the first thing I do is I'm going to read about equal rights for women. And then in my notes, I'm going to be able to go in here and I'm going to be able to type some things in here. And I'm going to be able to type right in here. And I can complete my sensory figure and I can turn that in. Okay. And then we would do the activity in class. Everything is right there. Now I am going to come back out as a teacher now. Now check this out. And I'm back in the teacher account now. I'm no longer a student. And it says that I have some things that need to be graded. So I'm going to go in here and you saw me turn those in and then Matt Canvas. I'm Matt Canvas, by the way. I'm going to grade by section. So I'm going to change my grade by section and I'm going to go in. And so the first introduction, I have 2 things that were turned in by that student. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the grade here. And hopefully, I know in my session, I did show how you assign and grade. So I know I'm going through this kind of quickly right now. Should have got that information in your first session that you were in this morning. So this is just kind of a piggyback on that to show how it's going to work with Canvas. So you saw me write this old time music, piano. Maybe they were upset about rights. So I can go in here and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, great job on the preview. I want to give you 5 points for that. And I'm going to give them 5 points. And then down here, section 2, I'm going to say you're 4 points out of 5. Okay, because maybe missed something on that one. If we look at that, this question would say is wrong. I can give a comment or whatever. All right, now let's go back to Canvas. I just clicked some points here, and I'm going to go back to Canvas, and I'm in my assignments, but now I'm going to click on grades. Go to grades, and you should see Matt Canvas, and look at that. There's the preview. It's already got the 5 points right there. And you just saw me put the 4 points in right there. Okay. So it automatically showed or syncs the grade that I put in TCI into Canvas. So everything can be in Canvas. So now the magic question is, yes, Brianne, isn't that great? That great? So, or Blaine, sorry, Blaine. That is that's the thing that everybody wants. That's what we've been waiting for. That's what we've been developing. And I'm really, really excited now to show you guys how you can do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my courses here, make sure I'm in the right course. And I'm going to close some of this other stuff down that I don't need so we don't get clogged up. And I'm going to go and show you how all of that happens. And to do that, I'm going to kind of undo everything I just did. I'm going to undo everything I just did so I can show you how I will put it all back together. Okay. So there's a 3-step process. Now, one thing that you do need to know about Canvas is there is something that your district administrators will need to do on the back end to set up Canvas, and they can set it up for you. But then there's a few things that you can do to make sure it gets to the right course. So I'm going to go into settings really quickly. I'm going to go into integrations, and I'm just going to make sure that I disconnect from Canvas. And I'm going to go into my classes really quickly. I think that under actions, yeah, I don't have anything in there. That's good. All right. So your district will have to do something on the back end, and don't worry about that. When I go to my settings, so you're going to start in settings. You're going to see, hopefully in your last session, somebody showed you, the different student features and grades that you guys can change default grades and student stuff. And of course, everybody probably learned about the opt-in features, so you can opt into our new layout. But the very last one in settings is integrations. And you'll see we got Schoology, we got Canvas, and we are Google Classroom, and we have Canvas. Those are the ways that we can integrate, and that's integrations. So you're going to do this at the beginning of the year when your classes are set up to get everything rolling. Okay. And so just to kind of recap, you're starting in settings. All right. So there's your settings. We talked about in the last session this morning about the purple sidebar, having everything you need in the menu here. So I've clicked on settings, I'm in settings, and I'm right down here at the bottom area where integrations, and I'm going to connect to my Canvas course. Okay. And so the first thing it's going to ask me is it's just basically asking me, hey, we authorize. You're going to allow, do you want TCI and Canvas to talk to each other? So I'm going to say yes. I want to authorize that. Okay. And I'm good there. And then in your, that's step one. There's 2 more steps you have to do. 2 more steps. That's very easy. In step 2, you're going to go to your classes. And this is probably set up already. So that's what I probably should have done. I should have done disconnect from Canvas first. So I set up in the settings, I authorized Canvas to talk to TCI. I did that in the settings. Now I'm going to come to my classes. And I don't know how many class periods you guys have up. You probably have more than one. You can see that I only have 1 period here. When your classes get set up through your onboarding process that happens through tech integration, if you teach like 4 periods of one class, you'll have your 4 periods there. So I just happen to have the 1 period, but that's okay. You'll see this little action bar right here. Now you have to, step 2, tell TCI and Canvas which of your classes you want to link to. So this is my first period class. Let's just add a class in here real quick, just so you can see the difference. So I'm going to add a 2nd period class, just so you can see. Okay, I have 2 classes now, 2 class periods. Okay, I only have 1 student in my first period, and I have 0 students in my 2nd period. So I'm going to use my first period. You go to actions, and you'll see right down here, connect to Canvas course. Now you won't see this unless you do that first step of going to settings, going to integrations, and connecting to that Canvas and authorizing that. Okay. So again, I'm just going to disconnect one more time to show you that step. You go to settings, you go to Canvas, you click connect, and then you have to authorize. Once you've done that first step, if you go to your classes over here on the left, and you click actions, you should see now connect to Canvas course. That would not have been there if I wouldn't have done step 1. That's why I went over it twice, just to make sure you guys get that part. Now, I'm going to click on connect to Canvas course, and I have 2 Canvas courses that I teach. So this is like, maybe you have a Canvas course for your first period. Maybe you teach world geography and US history. And so you want to have like a world geography Canvas, and you have a, maybe you have a Canvas for different periods, for every hour has a different one. Whatever the reason, you're going to go ahead and pick the one that you want, select it. So I'm just using TCI default one that I created, and you're going to hit connect, and you have connected. Now, because I did that, anytime I make an assignment now in TCI, it's now going to put it in that class. So let's just pause for 1 second. I'm going to show you step 3 in a minute. We're on step 2 right now. So I'm just going to go back over here to TCI, and you can see the different assignments that I've created. This one was unpublished. So I am going to, this is all 18, 20. I am going to go in and I'm going to create a new assignment, but I'm going to do it in a totally different chapter so you can see that I'm putting it in live. So let's go over to assignments. And let's create a new assignment. And I'm going to, let's just do chapter 5, comparing the English colonies, lesson 5. And I'm going to assign the lesson game this time. Charting the course is the lesson game. And I'm going to make it due today. I'm going to assign it. Boom. Okay. And there it is. You can see that these assignments didn't have anything connected to Canvas because I made those before I ever connected Canvas. But this one has a little Canvas logo with a check mark on it because this one is synced to Canvas, because I did that step 2. That step 2 where I went to my classes and I clicked connect from Canvas. Now it says disconnect from Canvas. Because I did that, that's why that assignment automatically syncs. Now let's see if it worked. Let's go back over to my Canvas assignment and let's reload. Let's just kind of refresh here and see what happens here. And there it is. It's right there. That's the assignment that I just created. And it takes the students right to it. So it's that easy. Now, how does the grades work though? Okay. So a minute ago, I saw Blaine said, that's awesome. Right when I put the in the chat about the syncing of grades. So there is a 3rd step if you want the grades to sync that you have to do. So I'll show you that one right now. So we saw how you can make the assignment sync. How does the grades sync though? How do I get those grades to go from TCI to my Canvas gradebook, right? So that's the next thing that we're going to look at. So for that one, I'm going to come back over to my classes. So I have to go to my classes here. And you'll notice that I have to go manage students from Canvas. And I'm going to remove the match really quick because it's already done. So when you go to manage students from Canvas, you're going to see a list of all your students. Now I only have one student here. It's Matt Canvas. So I only have one student. So there's not, it's not that complicated, but I'm going to auto match. As long as my students have the Canvas accounts, I'm going to click auto match and saying, yep, you want to match Matt Canvas. That's one of your students. I'm going to say next, and I'm going to click match, and voila. Now you see where I used to have one student here, and then there was a 0 here. Now I have one student in my class, and I have one student with that Canvas account. So that student now is connected to Canvas. So now the grade syncing should work. Let's test it out. And then I'll open up for some questions here for a second for you guys. So just hang on to your questions for just one more minute and we'll go over. So let's go, I'll do another assignment here. Let's go back to my assignments. Let's create another new one. Let's actually first, let's clean this up again because I created these for the first one I did with you guys. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these so that you can see this a little easier. We'll only have my Canvas only assignment. So I'm going to create a new. Let's say we want to do, let's do the same one that we did a minute ago. Let's do lesson 20 because that one's got handouts. I want to show you how I put the handouts in there as well, because that's an important feature to show you. Get the handouts in there even. I am going to, let's assign the reading for section 3. We're just going to assign section 3 reading only. So that's what we've assigned here. And again, I can do all classes or both classes, whatever I want. You guys saw the assignment feature in your last session. I'll make it due today. I'm not going to put anything optional, but you could see where you could give optional notes and an assignment name if you wanted to create something in there. And I'm going to go ahead and click assign. Just for peace of mind, I'm going to look down here and I'm going to see that my Canvas icon has that green check. So I know it worked. If you don't see that, then something probably went wrong and it probably doesn't work. So you want to check that out. I'm going to come back over to Canvas. I'm going to reload. I'm going to go to my assignments here. And there it is. Of course, I can publish it for my students as well. But there it is. It's there. Okay. So let's make sure. Now, if I click on this right now, it's going to open up and it's going to be me being a teacher doing it. And then it's not going to have a grade. So real quick, let me make sure I'm a student in here. Let me go to my dashboard again. And I'm going to impersonate one of my students. I'll impersonate Matt Canvas again, sign in. Okay. And back here. So now I'm impersonating my Canvas student. So everything will work now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the assignment. Read the text. You can do the tutorial. And most importantly, I'm going to type some notes in here. I'm going to draw something here. I'll draw a smiley face so you guys can see that. There you go. Just so you can see that when we go to grade it. And I'm going to turn it in. Okay. Now, before I go and grade it, let's just go back and look at the grade book here. Let's go look at the grade book because I haven't graded anything yet.
Matt, if I may interrupt, there was a request if you could review step 3.
Sure. Let me finish this piece real quick, and then I'll do step 2 and 3 again. No problem. No problem. So notice how error of reform, that one. See, I didn't publish that other one. See how it says unpublished? The first one I didn't publish. The second one I did publish. But there's no grade in here. So I just want to show you there's no grade in here. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to that student. And I just drew the smiley face. Remember, you watched me draw the smiley face. I'm going to go back as a teacher. And I'm going to click on the work that was turned in that I need to grade. Okay. So you're always going to grade it in TCI. You're not grading it in Canvas. You're grading it in TCI because everything happens in the TCI application, but then it's going to sync over. So I am going to make sure I open up that one. I'm going to go look at the, what was the one there it is, just turned in, Matt Canvas just turned in section 3. Go ahead and click on section 3 to grade it. And we're going to take a look at what did, and then you can click on it. I can see is, oh my gosh, you guys just watched me draw that little smiley face right there. So I can see my answer key to this one, and oh gosh, not so great. My answers don't really line up there. So maybe I'm going to give a partial. Let's give a 3. Okay, now it's saved, automatically saved. Okay, that 3. I'm going to hop back over to Canvas and see if that 3 is there. I'm going to go over there. I'm just going to reload or refresh, and we should see that 3 shows up. So that's how you do it. And I certainly will go back over steps 2 again. But again, the first time I showed it to you, I just wanted to show you the power of what it could do. The second time I wanted to show you actually how it works. And this time I'll go a little bit slower and set that up. But that's how that grade sunk just perfectly, just like that. Okay, so let me go over steps 2 and 3 real quick, and then I will show you the handout piece because that's important too. And I'll open it up to more questions as well. So again, manage students. I'm going to remove that match. And then I'm going to disconnect from Canvas because that's step 2 is the disconnecting. So Dawn, they just need to see step 2, or should I show step 1 one more time?
The request was specifically step 3, actually.
Oh, step 3. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, we're going to see step 2 and 3 because I accidentally just undid step 2. So step 1 was done already. Step 1, I went to settings and I authorized. So here's step 2. Go to your classes right there. Find the class one that you want. Could be the other one too. Doesn't matter, right? Whichever one you want to do. And you got to connect to a Canvas course. So I'm going to connect to a Canvas course. I have 2. I'll connect to my default one. Connect. And I'm there. Now it's automatically doing it for me. It won't do that for you the first time. It's automatically syncing my student in there. So, and that shouldn't be doing that. So real quick, I'm just gonna, so I can show you step 3, because here I don't even have to do step 3. Step 3 just automatically happened for me, but it probably won't do that for you. So step 3 is going here and clicking manage students on Canvas. You didn't see that a minute ago until I connected to Canvas. Okay, so again, I'll disconnect. Notice how it's not there. It's not there. Only option I have right now is connect to a Canvas course. Until I do that, I won't see the option for step 3. So here is connecting to the Canvas, the default course. Now, because that student was already in there, it's kind of a cool thing that Canvas is doing is it's automatically doing that, but I don't believe it's going to do that for you. So I do want to undo that, remove that match. But what you end up having to do is you have to go in actions and you'll see this second area here where you manage your students now, and you'll have to click on that and you're going to click auto match your students. When you click auto match students, it pulls in the students from Canvas and TCI and it starts to allow them to talk to each other. And you just click next. And then I only have 1 student matched up here. So, that's where you're going to watch out for an error or whatever, because let's say you have 30 students and it says match 29 students, 1 student unmatched. That's a problem. That's going to indicate to you that something's wrong and something's off with your class rosters. They're not like identical. They don't share the same information. But here it worked for me because mine do. So 1 student matched, and I click match. And now that student's in there. And that's the piece that you have to do if you want the grades to sync. Without that 3rd step, you could go in and grade something in TCI and it's not going to push it out to your Canvas gradebook. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And then Dawn, we did share the document, right? There's a document that we shared that takes you guys through each one of these steps.
I believe Cass is going to be dropping that in for us.
Okay, because I think I saw it in one of the handouts. So anyways, so now the next part though was the handouts. You guys probably saw from my 1 assignment that I had handouts. So like if I go back over here to my, let's go back to my assignments here. And I'll go into my assignments, Canvas. Like this is my assignment, but I want to put some handouts in here. There's a handout that my students need to get, okay? So I can click here and I can edit that assignment. And then I can click more options. When I click more options, there's all kinds of cool things you can do here. I could completely add text in here and add additional notes. I can change points. I can do everything. But there's going to be a spot for me to insert like a handout or a link if I want. So where you get that from TCI, you got to get it from TCI first. So let me just pause this tab right here. go back into TCI, and I'm going to go to my materials tab, which is right here. And you can see that I have 2 handouts that I need. Each group, one per group, needs this handout. So under actions, I'm just going to download this handout. Okay. So I have that there, and I'm going to go ahead and just save that, download that right there. Boom. And it's going to download it right there. And now that's going to now allow me to upload that into Canvas very easily. So back here, I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to put my cursor where I want it. Okay. And I'm going to click insert, and here I'm going to insert a document, and I'm going to upload that document right there. Very easy. And I'm just going to drag that sucker right there and hit submit. And then I'm going to come down here at the bottom of my page and make sure I hit save. Okay. And there it is. Whoops. Got my mouse going crazy. So now when students go to that area, not only can they see the link right here that takes them directly to their assignment, but any handouts that they need from TCI, they should be able to click and get that exact same handout. Okay. One last thing before we open it up to questions, and I can't believe how fast this session went. The last session was long. This session's just flying by. One last thing while we're in Canvas here is there is a way too that you can go in and your students can sign in through the Canvas. They can set up single sign-on, which I've done LTI, so I have that set up. So my students, that's something your district will set up. That's something that they do on the back end when they are you know, setting this up for you. But if I click on Teach TCI here, I will be able to go in and go into that same program. But now I'm in as a student and a teacher, and everything opens up, but I'm still within Canvas. So what you saw me doing at the first part of this session is you saw me tabbing between TCI. So like, here's my TCI, here's my Canvas, here's my TCI, here's my Canvas. This time I'm actually in there. So that unit that I was just showing you, I believe was Americans mid-18th century, I think. And we were in the era of reform. And so again, I'm in, let's go to the dashboard here so that I can go to the student view, and you can just see, let's sign in as Matt Canvas again. And now they're working within, so they're even still within Canvas. So now when they click on things, assignments and stuff, everything's just built right in there. So they can see that and work right within that. So at this time, I mean, it's really, really simple. It's that simple to do, but you will have to do that at the beginning of each year when your district sets up your classes. You'll just have to do those 1, 3 steps, 1, 2, 3 steps. What questions do people have? Is there anything in the chat, Dawn, that I need to know about that I should address?
Yes, actually. So a couple of questions that you might be able to answer. One from Sean: if you release scores in batches, are you still able to do this if you use the sync method and grade with TCI?
Release scores with batches. I'm not sure I understand that one. So we may need to get, we need to write that question down and get Morris to weigh in on that one, because I'm not sure I understand what was meant by release scores and batches.
So we, Sean, you've seen, and Cass, if you can drop it in chat again, info@teachtci.com. Anything that does not get answered today, they will route that to Tech, Morris, and the others that will be able to get a specific answer for you. Another one, Matt: my students are 100% online learners. Many of the assignments have a group work component I'm unable to create in this format. Will I be able to change the wording of the individual assignments to make them independent learning prior to loading the assignment in Canvas? That's from Christy.
You can't change it on the TCI end, but you can change some stuff on Canvas's end. So for example, if I go into my, assignments here and I create an assignment, as you saw that I do, right? So I can go in, I'm gonna do lesson 3, and I'm gonna do reading, and I'm gonna do like section 2, for example. I'll make it due, tomorrow. I can add additional information here. So I can put down like additional directions and I can click assign it. But what's going to end up happening is now if I go to assignments, you're going to see that it's just going to look like this. It's just going to say reading section 2, early groups adapt to their environment. And then if I go back over to Canvas, I'm just going to reload here, should see that one as well. Now pop in. There it is. I haven't published this yet. So the language is really the same. So it's no different. But what you should be able to do is you should be able to, before you publish it, you should be able to go in and edit. And then when you're in edit, you have this more options here. You can change the name if you want to, but under more options, that's where you get kind of a free reign. And so this is what it shows up as the assignment, but I can change the name. I can change any individual. I can give even more directions, add that. So I think that's what you're asking, but I don't really know how. There's not a feature for them to collaborate in TCI. We don't have that yet. I mean, that's a fantastic idea. And we're always looking for great ways to improve the platform. As it is right now, students do work cooperatively in groups all the time in TCI. That's a big part of our pedagogy, as you know. But what I type, let's say Dawn and I are working in a group together. If I type something in my TCI, notebook, whether I get to it through Canvas or not, it's my answer. If Dawn was my partner, she's going to have a big blank spot if she didn't do the same thing when she was working with me. So I assume that your question allows for something with a collaboration where we're like almost like a Google Doc. If we were opening a Google Doc right now, we would be both in it and changing it and moving it around. Our platform doesn't allow for that now, although that's a fantastic idea for a future tool improvement. But that's not something that you can do. And I think that's kind of what your question was. And if I got that wrong, please clarify.
Would you like one more, Matt?
Yeah.
Tisha,
it's an easy one. No, I'm kidding.
I do think this one is easier, so we'll see. Am I correct in understanding TCI activities are assigned on the TCI site, but handouts need to be shared by linking each handout into a Canvas assignment?
Yes. Yep. That's correct. So when you assign something, whether it be an activity or a lab investigation, if you teach science or any reading or anything like that, when you assign that in TCI, it assigns them back through Canvas to the actual activity. So when we're like, I'm going to go in here, what it's doing is it's pushing out the content and it's pushing out, any music or anything that goes with it. And it's pushing out the prompts for them to answer. What it's not going to push out is any individual handouts. And that stays within the theme of TCI anyways, because our handouts aren't even pushed out automatically within our own platform. You still, like if you're doing like paper pencil, as a teacher, I would still need to send that, like right here's a little print option. I would still need to send that handout to the printer. So if instead of sending it to the printer and giving it to my students at their seats, if I wanted to upload it, it's that same trick I just showed you where they download it and then they attach it as a file into Canvas.
And a follow-up to that, the handouts once shared via Canvas can still be graded directly on the TCI site.
Well, handouts aren't necessarily graded. The handout is more like as a handout. The only thing that's like really graded on TCI would be any of the digital things. So for example, things that look like this, right? All of this could be graded. Let's look at something else. Let's look at a sensory figure here. Let's go to the next section and look at a sensory figure so you can see something different. Like, typing this or the sensory figure here, that stuff would be graded. The handout would be something that would have to be separate. So if you put a handout for them and they print it out, their handout, and then they write on it, they would have to give that back to you or take a picture of it and email it to you. Or that's what my teenage high school and middle school sons, a lot of times they do with handouts that they have. They take it on their phone and then they upload the digital back to the teacher and she looks at it that way. Good questions. Any other questions?
There is a question about Canvas having the option of some assignments being turned in with no points. Does TCI have the same option in grading?
Wow, that's a great question that I have never looked. I can find out right now. I'm guessing no, but we go to the grade book to do it. And I'm going to make sure that I'm in period 1. Whoops. Okay. So I'm going to go in here. And so here's where I can change point values, right? So let's say I'm going to assign this section 2 later on. See where the max score is 5. The max score, let me get that so you guys can see that a little better. The max score is 5 because in my settings, I have my default setup that I just want all subsections to be 5 points. You can make that whatever you want. I'm going to try to make it 0 and see what happens, but I don't think it's going to let me, but it might. It did. So there you go. I just learned something new today that allowed me to make it worth 0 points. Yep. And, you know, while we're on the subject of questions and things like that, I just want to make sure that you guys know, you know, you have this little area right here. You see my name in the top right hand corner. There's this little question mark up there and it says support. If you click on that, you're going to get the feedback and the help. Let me tell you what both of those do. Let's start with the feedback real quick. That was a really cool question that no one has ever asked me before about that collaboration. I don't know about you, Dawn or Deanna, but I have never been asked about collaborating documents before. But I can see why teachers would ask that question and where that would be moving to. And I could see that being a question that might start to come up more and more as we move into, you know, further into the 21st century here.
Absolutely.
So feedback, you click on feedback and it says, what would you like to tell us? That is a fantastic place to capture things like that. It doesn't have to be necessarily that one. It can be something else that you want our platform to do. Our software team looks at that feedback very closely and they categorize things and put it into buckets and put it on a timeline of when they can make things happen based on need and everything and availability. And they're constantly looking for new ideas. Everything that we've done in the last couple of years that you think, whoa, that's such a great improvement. It came from you guys. It came from the user experience of really driving the direction that we take this in this software. So just want to make sure that you guys know that you have an avenue for your voice to be heard at TCI. You know, Dawn and Deanna and I who are in the session, we are teachers, but when we say for teachers by teachers, we don't just mean that the people that work at TCI are teachers, but we also want the teacher voice, you guys, to be part of what we're doing as well. So that's why we have this feature. So please use it. And then if you ever need immediate assistance for anything, like you have like help, that email right there, info@tci.com, that's where you want to go. But then the other area, help, that is going to take you to our help center. Okay. When you get to our help center, you can search different things. And some of the big ones right here, learning management systems, that's what we're going in. So I can like literally click on that one and you see the different ones, but we're in Canvas. So I can click on the Canvas one and you will see articles about everything that I've shown you today, how to connect to your Canvas account, how to start up. And most importantly is that prerequisite. So no, I'm surprised nobody asked about that one. Really surprised because I kind of threw that at the beginning. There is a prerequisite before you can begin to do those 3 steps I showed you. Your district has to do something on the back end. And so this article right here will help your district and show them what they have to do so that teachers in the district can start doing that. So that will be where you'll go for that. So yeah. All right. With that, I'm going to, we took care of our questions. We're going to part ways in just a minute, but before we do, just kind of some reflection in the chat, if you will. Would you put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on which one you're feeling, that kind of shows where you are based on this new information you have about integration to Canvas? I'm just kind of curious of where you guys are at. Happy, sweating it, mind blown, still kind of skeptical, whatever. Just kind of curious of where you guys are at. And if you are still sweating it, then definitely make sure that you log into your TCI account and you do click on that support in that article and you maybe reach out to your admin team and show them that and that you're interested in doing that. And it will be pretty easy to set up on their end. It's not like you're going to get pushback from them where they're like, oh, this is too much work. Very, very easy. But they have to have some control because with the way Canvas works, they have some external control over that. So thank you guys, everyone, for that. And then a couple reminders here as we go. Tomorrow, this was the pre-conference. We're just getting started. Tomorrow is the big day, right? So we want to remind you guys that it's 9 a.m. Pacific time or 12 noon if you're on the East Coast like I am. We'll have our keynote speaker, Adam Welcome, will be starting. And then my colleague, Deanna Morrow, will be leading you through a session on building a community of learners. It's going to be great. I can't wait. That's one of the ones I'm looking forward to. And then Brian Thomas, many of you guys know, have seen on our webinars and things, will be doing a session for everybody on gamification. And then several of us will be doing breakout sessions, depending on your grade level, and subject on how you can integrate civics, more civics into your classroom. And so I think we can all agree that civics is definitely something we need to continue to really put in the limelight in education for our students. So that will be some good stuff that you'll get there. And so does anybody want to throw, I don't know if you want to throw the link in. I know you guys all know how to log in, but just in case you want to throw the link in chat for them on how to log in for tomorrow. And then just as another reminder that everybody is going to be getting that tumbler. Everybody will get the certificate of attendance for attending this, and you are automatically entered into the drawing for the iPad. We'll be giving an iPad away today. We're going to give another iPad away tomorrow. So excellent. So awesome. So at this point, I landed the plane. I think I'm 1 minute over, so I do apologize for that. But I want to thank everybody for attending today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And we will look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.